Hi guys, Engineer Boy 100 here. Today's video is on how to change a drive axle. I've been getting some clicking noise in my driver's side left drive axle, so today we're going to replace it, take out the old and install the new. To prepare the car to have its drive axle removed, the first thing we do is put wheel chucks behind and in front of the tire and jack up the vehicle. Next, we'll remove the tire and take off the old drive axle. One important detail I wanted to point out is that on the end of the drive axle splines that goes into the vehicle, there is a retaining ring. If you look closely, that ring has a brake in it. It will make it a lot easier for you to install this drive axle if you make sure the ring is on the bottom, the broken part of the ring is on the bottom when you go to install the drive axle. I'll remind you of that when we install the drive axle. First, we remove the lug nuts and the wheel. Next, we remove the cotter key and the nut retainer plate. And then we remove the 30mm nut with the impact wrench. Next, we'll remove the two mount bolts from the strut to free up the hub so we can move the hub enough to release the splines on the drive axle. Next, we'll remove the caliper. There are two 17mm bolts that hold the caliper to the hub. One on the bottom and one on the top. This hammer tap technique I use to tap on the wrench can save you from busting up your knuckles. I use this technique on the bottom and on the top. I always use a short bungee cord to hold the caliper. Use the bungee cord to hang the caliper from the spring so that we don't damage the hydraulic cable. Give the drive axle a little tap to get it moving so we can remove it from the hub. Once the outside is removed from the hub, the inside portion of the shaft can be pried or tapped out on the side notches that are cut in it for removing it. Then you can just take the piece out with your hand. Be sure to have a bucket ready to catch the oil that's going to drain out. Okay, so now that we got the old one out, it's time to put the new one in. And as I promised, I'm going to remind you to make sure that the retaining clip, there's a little retaining ring on the end. Make sure the open end of it, this part here, is facing down. That will help to make installation easier because the ring sinks down on the top and on the bottom, it's missing, so it doesn't interfere with insertion. So now let's install the replacement drive shaft. Twist the shaft gently to get the splines to align with the hole. Then use the shaft to tap on the end of the splines to get the retaining clip to snap into place. Once the inside portion of the shaft has been snapped back into the transmission, it's time to install the outside portion back into the hub. Once the shaft splines are through the hub, you can reinstall the 30mm retention bolt. Once the axle nut has been tightened, place the locking nut over it and then place the cotter key through the end of the locking nut and the shaft. Sometimes you have to reposition the locking nut to get the opening to align with the hole in the shaft. Next up, we will reconnect the strut to the hub using the two 19mm mount bolts that we removed earlier. Once the strut has been reattached, it's time to reinstall the brake disc and the brake caliper. We'll have to reinstall the top and the bottom bolts on the brake caliper. Once all the hub components are reattached, don't forget to top off the transmission with the gear oil. I use Delvac synthetic. It's worked great for me for many years. Once the oil has been topped off, reinstall and tighten your field bolt, and you're ready to reinstall your tire, and the job will be done. Now all we have to do is remove the jack stands and take her for a drive. Thank you for watching.